All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're unpacking some of the most powerful time management principles ever written, specifically drawing from Peter Drucker's legendary insights on becoming an effective executive. But we're not going to just read through dry corporate theory. Instead, we're going to follow a guy named David. David is someone who perfectly captures the burnout, the frustration, and that deep desire for more time that honestly so many of us feel. His journey to taking back his life is something I know is going to resonate with a lot of you.
So, you know that feeling? It's 1:37 a.m., your eyes are practically glued shut, your body is literally begging for sleep, but you just cannot put your phone down. Well, this is exactly where we meet David. He felt like he absolutely deserved this time. I mean, after slaving away all day at his corporate job, mindlessly scrolling through social media was his only real me time. And while doom scrolling, he happens to see a guy talking about building a side hustle while working a 9-to-5. David's reaction? Pure bitterness. He drops a cynical comment, typing out, "You people making these don't even work a 9-to-5. We're corporate slaves, we don't have time."
And honestly, looking at his schedule totally explains why he was so bitter. The guy wanted to be up by 8 a.m., but he couldn't drag himself out of bed until 9. By 10 a.m., he's rushing into the office, usually skipping breakfast altogether. From there, his entire day just sort of evaporated into this blur of emails, Slack notifications, and completely pointless meetings. And the kicker? Despite running around frantically all day, his manager still thought he was underperforming. So by 6 p.m., he is totally fried. He has dinner, spends a little time with his family, and by 11:30 p.m., the revenge bedtime doom scrolling kicks in all over again. It was just this miserable, reactive loop of sheer exhaustion.
Then, out of nowhere, a weekend chat completely shatters David's worldview. His cousin drops by and casually mentions he's quitting his job because his side business, which he built working just 1 to 2 hours a day, is taking off. His secret? Applying the principles from a book called The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. Skeptical, but definitely curious, David heads to a local bookstore to find a copy. There, he bumps into a sharply dressed, incredibly sharp guy who introduces himself as Dr. Book. When David asks for the Drucker book, Dr. Book points out that it's written for executives. David actually laughs and says, "Well, I'm just a regular corporate worker, definitely not a CEO." And man, Dr. Book's response changes everything.
Dr. Book looks right at him and asks, "Do you have any control over your time? Do you have any say in what tasks you tackle during the day?" David nods and says yes. Then, Dr. Book smiles, "You are already an executive. You just aren't an effective one yet." Now think about that for a second. That is a massive paradigm shift. You do not need a corner office or some fancy C-suite title to be an executive. If you manage your own time and your own decisions, you're an executive. So Dr. Book offers David a spare copy of the book, but on one strict condition. He tells David he has to accept a core truth. Effectiveness is not a talent. It's not about your IQ. It is a discipline and a specific set of practices that anybody can learn. You aren't born highly effective. The real issue is that most of us are just running on a treadmill of busy work, sweating a lot but going absolutely nowhere. To fix this, Dr. Book knew he first had to change how David valued his own time. To drive this home, Dr. Book throws out this wild thought experiment. He says, imagine you're 30 years in the future. You are incredibly filthy rich. Suddenly, a genie appears and makes you an offer. Give me every single penny you have, and I will send you exactly 30 years back in time. Would you take the deal? David instantly realizes, of course he would. Because here's the reality. You can always hustle and earn more money, but you can never, ever earn back a single second of your time. It is the ultimate scarce resource. Yet, our brains constantly lie to us about how we're actually spending it, which is exactly why Dr. Book hands David his very first assignment. He challenges David to do something called time logging. Notice I didn't say time planning, but time logging. Dr. Book tells him to track exactly what he does hour by hour for 7 days straight. If he works on a project from 5 to 6, write it down. If he spends 45 minutes scrolling Instagram, write it down. Now this sounds incredibly tedious, and David definitely struggles with it the first couple of days, but the results of this raw, honest audit, absolutely game-changing. A week later, David comes back to Dr. Book, and he is just stunned. By actually logging his time, he spotted a glaring pattern. Throughout his entire chaotic day, there was literally only one small window where he could grab 1 to 2 totally uninterrupted, uncontaminated hours to build something for himself, the early morning. Dr. Book is ecstatic. He tells David that discovering this truth on his own makes it stick so much better. The morning is where true effectiveness is born. So, feeling super motivated, David sets his alarm for 6 a.m., totally ready to conquer the world. But yeah, it didn't exactly go as planned. The 6 a.m. struggle hit him like a ton of bricks. He just couldn't wake up. When he finally peeled himself out of bed at 7:30, his brain was basically pure fog. He just shuffled around, doing random low-energy tasks that didn't mean anything. And worse, now he felt guilty. Before this, he was sleeping till 9 a.m. without a care in the world. Now he felt like he was failing himself every single morning. Totally defeated, he goes back to Dr. Book, admits he can't seem to wake up early, and begs for a quick fix.
And this brings us right to Section 1, shift focus from activity to contribution.
Dr. Book sits him down and explains that David is failing because he's obsessed with meaningless activities just so he can feel productive. To wake up with actual fire, you have to shift your focus to making a true contribution. He shares the famous story of the 3 bricklayers. You ask the first guy what he's doing, he grumbles, "I'm laying bricks." The second one says, "I'm building a wall." But the third guy, who is sweating the most but has a massive smile on his face, says, "I am building a house of God where people will come to find peace." Dr. Book asks David, which of those guys works with the most passion? It's the third guy for sure, because he is focused on his ultimate contribution, not just the mundane activity of stacking bricks.
So David needed to figure out what his own house of God was. He takes some time, does some real soul searching, and realizes he has this deep, genuine passion for the health and fitness industry. He doesn't just want to start a side hustle to make a quick buck. His true contribution, his real why, is creating healthy products, specifically high-quality protein bars, to help people get fit and actually transform their lives. The second he defines that specific tangible contribution, this crazy wave of clarity washes over him. For the first time, he has a rock-solid reason to actually get out of bed.
Moving on to Section 2, do the right things first.
Because here's the thing. An effective executive doesn't try to do everything. They focus on doing the correct work. Dr. Book tells David to create 2 critical lists to aggressively protect his time. First step is the stop doing list. This is where you mercilessly cut out things that add 0 value. Stuff like sitting in on Zoom meetings where you literally never speak, or you guessed it, doom scrolling at midnight. Second is the offload list. These are the tasks that absolutely anyone else can do for you. Get them off your plate immediately. By sticking to these 2 lists, David guarantees that his golden morning hours are spent entirely on the high-impact work that only he can do.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, the power of a non-negotiable decision.
Look, even when you know your why, getting out from under a warm blanket is a huge psychological hurdle. The secret to beating it? Decide once, not every morning. Dr. Book warns David that if his alarm goes off at 6 a.m. and he starts negotiating with himself, like, should I really get up? Maybe just 10 more minutes? Am I too tired today? He is going to lose that battle every single time. You simply cannot make high-quality decisions when you are half asleep. You have to make a firm, non-negotiable decision right now while you are wide awake, and then commit to it blindly. Make the choice once. When that alarm rings, you don't think, you just execute like a machine.
So David makes that fierce commitment. He decides to wake up at 7 a.m. no matter what. And the compound effect of this is staggering. Was week 1 painful? Absolutely. But he forced himself up. Even on days he barely slept, he got up. And in that messy, exhausting first week, he actually managed to write several articles for his new business. By week 2, he had a landing page up and running. By month 1, waking up at 7 a.m. wasn't even a struggle. It had become second nature. The momentum was just incredible.
Fast forward 1 whole year. David walks back into that same local bookstore. But this time, he isn't a stressed-out, burnt-out employee anymore. He is a truly effective executive. He hands Dr. Book this massive gift basket. Why? Because by sticking to that structured morning routine, he was able to quit his corporate 9-to-5 3 months earlier. He now has 1,000 loyal, recurring customers buying his healthy supplements.
And here is where it all comes full circle in the best way. Since David now makes content to help other people launch their own health brands, he's scrolling through his own comments one afternoon. He spots a comment that says, "These videos are made by people who don't even work a 9-to-5 job." But this time he doesn't get defensive or angry. He just smiles. He remembers being that exact same guy, completely exhausted at 1:37 a.m., totally blind to the fact that he was actually the executive of his own life. He just hopes that commenter eventually finds a Dr. Book of their own.
And that wraps up this explainer. But before we go, I want to leave you with one critical question to chew on. These principles of the effective executive, they're available to every single one of us right now. You can log your time, you can shift your mindset to focus on contribution, and you can ruthlessly slash the busy work from your day. But honestly, none of it matters until you actually decide. So what is the non-negotiable decision you are going to make today to finally claim control of your time? Really think about it. Make that choice, and whatever you do, don't look back. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.